Have you ever tried to sleep at night, but your mind keeps replaying conversations, mistakes, and worries you cannot turn off? And strangely, the more you try to quiet your mind, the louder it seems to become. In a small village surrounded by mountains lived a young man named Adrian. From the outside, his life looked simple. But inside his mind, there was constant unrest. Some nights he lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying old memories again and again. Other days his thoughts rushed into the future, worrying about things that had not even happened yet. Even when the world around him was peaceful, his mind refused to rest. Adrian felt exhausted, not from work but from thinking too much. Then one day he heard about an old man living in a distant village. People said the old man helped restless minds through a strange and simple test. And Adrian decided he had to meet him. Adrian could not stop thinking about the old man. If someone truly knew how to quiet the mind, he had to find him. The thought stayed with him through the night. By morning, he had already made his decision. He packed a small bag and began the long journey toward the distant village in the hills. The road was narrow and dusty, winding through quiet mountain paths. Some parts were steep and tiring. But Adrian kept walking. After several days, he finally reached the village. It was peaceful, surrounded by trees and open fields. Near the edge of the village stood a small house covered in green vines. Sitting on the wooden porch was the old man. His eyes were closed and his face looked calm, as if the world around him had completely faded away. Adrian walked closer. "Grandfather," he said respectfully, "my mind is always restless. My thoughts never stop. I cannot find peace. Can you help me?" The old man slowly opened his eyes and looked at Adrian with a gentle smile. "Many people come searching for peace," he said quietly. "But very few are willing to understand their own minds." Then he stood and gestured toward the yard. "Come with me, I have a small task for you." The old man led Adrian to the small yard beside his house. In the middle of the yard stood a wooden table. On it rested a clear glass. The old man slowly filled the glass with water until it reached the very top. The water was so full that even the slightest movement would make it spill. He placed the glass carefully into Adrian's hands. "Take this," the old man said calmly. "Walk from here to the edge of the village and return." Adrian nodded. But the old man watched him quietly before adding one final rule. "You must not spill even a single drop." Adrian looked down at the glass. The water trembled near the edge. He tightened his grip and took a careful breath. The task sounded simple, but now it felt strangely serious. Holding the glass steady with both hands, Adrian began walking down the narrow road of the village. The road through the village was narrow and busy. People walked in different directions. Shopkeepers called out to customers. Children ran past laughing. Dogs barked beside the dusty road. But Adrian noticed almost none of it. His eyes stayed fixed on the glass in his hands. The water trembled slightly with each step. One careless movement could spill it. So Adrian walked slowly. Sometimes he even held his breath to keep the glass steady. The noise of the village continued around him, but his attention never left the surface of the water. Step by step, he moved through the street until he finally reached the far end of the village. Then he turned around and began walking back, still watching the glass, still guarding every drop. After some time, Adrian returned to the old man's house. The glass was still full. Not a single drop had spilled. Adrian handed it back with relief. "Grandfather, I did it. I didn't spill any water." The old man nodded and took the glass. Then he asked quietly, "Tell me something. Did you see the children playing along the road?" Adrian paused and shook his head. "No." The old man asked again, "Did you hear the shopkeepers calling their customers, or the dogs barking in the street?" Adrian looked surprised. "No, grandfather, I didn't notice any of that. I was only watching the glass." The old man looked at him for a moment. Then he smiled. The old man placed the glass back on the table. "That," he said gently, "is the secret you came here to learn." Adrian listened closely. While you were walking, your mind had only one place to stay, on the glass in your hands. Because of that, everything else faded away. Adrian remembered the road and slowly nodded. The old man continued, "Your mind is not restless because the world is noisy. It becomes restless when your attention jumps from one thought to another." He paused. "But when your attention rests in the present moment, the mind becomes quiet on its own." Adrian stood silently, looking at the glass on the table. For the first time, peace no longer felt impossible. Adrian bowed his head with gratitude. "Grandfather," he said softly, "I think I understand now." The old man smiled but said nothing. The evening sun was setting. Warm light spread across the quiet yard. Birds returned to the trees. The village slowly grew calm. Adrian stood there for a moment, feeling a stillness he had not felt in a long time. His problems had not disappeared. The world around him had not changed. But his mind was no longer chasing the past or worrying about the future. It was simply here, present. Adrian thanked the old man and began walking home. The road was the same as before, but his mind felt lighter. And as he walked away from the quiet village, Adrian understood something simple. Peace was never far away. It appears the moment the mind becomes still. Now think about your own life for a moment. How often does your mind drift away from the present? One thought leads to another. The past returns with regrets. The future appears with worries. And before you realize it, the mind becomes restless. Adrian's story reminds us of something simple. Peace does not come from controlling every thought. It comes from where we place our attention. Just like Adrian watching the glass, when the mind stays in the present moment, the noise slowly fades. And in that quiet space, peace appears on its own. If this story made you pause and reflect for even a moment, take a second to support the channel. Like the video so more people can discover it. Share it with someone who might need a little peace today. And in the comments, tell me this. When was the last time your mind was completely quiet? I read every comment. If you enjoy thoughtful stories like this, subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell icon so you don't miss the next one. Thank you for watching. And until the next story, take a deep breath and stay present.